Hello and a very good evening and a very big welcome as well to UBC News Tonight. It is the 16th day of February 2021. My name is Lauryn, Masika, Kazimoto, and on the sign language you do have Elizabeth Nakakoni. Now we start off with our first headlining story. President Yoweri Museveni has asked Ugandans to guard peace, which has been ushered in by the NRM government. Now Museveni says the country has built a strong army which is ready to fend off any attacks. He said this during the celebrations to mark Janan Luwum Day at a state house in Entebbe, which was under the theme Life in its Fullness. President Museveni also asked the church leaders to be balanced in their criticism towards government. Take a look at the story.
Uganda has marked the Janan Luwum Day with the main event taking place at State House Entebbe and presided over by President Yoweri Museveni, who was flanked by the First Lady Janet Museveni, government officials and religious leaders. Addressing the gathering, President Museveni indicated that there was no reason for the then President Idi Amin Dada to kill Bishop Luwum, who was criticizing his government.
There's no, why kill a person because of criticizing you? Why? That means you are insecure. That means you are guilty. But it was really the structure of the state we had. We had a lot of these illiterate people like Idi Amin, who were managing the powerful structures of the state, like the army. So what did you expect? The politics was fragile, based on sectarianism, because that's how it had all started, the politics. And that's what you should be careful about.
Museveni says their generation was able to avenge Luwum's death and will ensure that there is no repeat of past occurrences.
Was able to avenge the death of these innocent people. A lot of people died, were killed for no good reason.
He, however, asked the clergy to be balanced in their criticism towards government.
They're always attacking the government. Yes, the government will make mistakes. But how about the ones who are fighting the government? If they also make mistakes, why don't you talk about them? Why do you only talk about the government and not the ones who are attacking the government? Who are even attacking Wananchi, like in Kampala here? People are being attacked for putting on NRM shirts. Women were being undressed. Women were being undressed, but I have not heard church people talking about that. You said they talk about army, police, what? Okay, the army may have.
The president also cautioned all those planning to destabilize Uganda's peace, saying that they will be dealt with. On his part, the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, Stephen Kazimba Mugalu, thanked President Museveni for honoring Janan Luwum's Day. Kazimba also credited the president for coming out to ensure that all allegedly missing people are accounted for.
I am so grateful, Your Excellency, that you have come out to ensure that there is some investigation done, and also to assure Ugandans that people are really safe. And we hear more from you, Your Excellency.
The main celebrant was the Bishop of Lango Diocese, Dr. Alfred Olwa. Janan Luwum was the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda from 1974 to 1977. He was arrested in February 1977 and died shortly after. Although the official account describes a car crash, it is generally accepted that he was murdered on the orders of the then President Idi Amin. Samuel Senono, UBC News.
Police is cautioning the public to remain vigilant against threats of terrorism and emulate collective responsibility to counter acts of terrorism in their communities. Now, the act of terror of torture of suspects remain unanswered, though President Museveni tasked security agencies to make available the list of those arrested. Ivan Kahwa reports.
The crime wave of that time.
In his recent security brief, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni attributed rowdy activities witnessed during the election period to terrorism, a thing that compelled the Security Command to involve commandos to counter such activities.
And indeed, the combined measures defeated that crime wave.
Different scholars define terrorism as an unlawful use or threat of violence, especially against the state or the public, as a politically motivated means. This is what, according to crime intelligence, qualifies those acts of disruption in Uganda during the elections to terrorism.
So when the president used the word terrorist or terrorism, I think it was in that context. Because when you see petrol bombs being thrown, letters being written to specific individuals, handbills being thrown around to mobilize the population against the government, petrol bombs being thrown, targeting government vehicles, targeting private vehicles, then it means that we have a job to do as a government, but also a population.
Social media continues to be a threat to masterminding terrorism activities, though it was partly enabled upon confirming that it was no longer a threat to national security.
And I think we cannot allow that to continue happening. We as security, we are assuring you of full security, but also working together with you.
President Museveni, however, advised security agencies to make available the list of those who were arrested in order to end the disappearance talk.
Now, all these, their names are here. I have all their names.
By law, police has to produce suspects in the courts of law within 48 hours. But as to whether this is respected in the plight of abductions, no clear answer is available as of now.
Very scared.
Cases of alleged abductions being witnessed under the NRM government have been under public criticism, though the president attests contrary.
Disappearance should be ignored because it can't happen under the NRM. Even if a mistake is made, it will be addressed and it will be answered. We never cover up. We never. There's nothing in which you cannot. There's nothing in which you do and hide.
What remains in the spotlight is the continued arrests of Ugandans in vehicles without number plates, something that many believe is a violation of human rights. Ivan Kahwa, UBC News.
Panic in Moroto, Karamoja sub-region as suspected criminal warriors terrorize residents. The attacks have affected the district of Moroto and parts of Napak between December and February.
Tension is high in Moroto and Napak districts of Karamoja sub-region following several cases of criminal attacks by suspected warriors.
There has been rising raids in Mount Moroto region. The areas which are hardly hit is Rupa in Moroto, Nadunget.
Karamoja mountain region covers the districts of Moroto, Napak, Nakapiripirid, Nabelatuk and Amudat.
Culprits time the animals which are not in the protected corrals. There are some communities who are failing to comply with our directive. they tend to keep the animals within their homes. So those people are prone to raids.
Suspected criminals have killed about 20 people in Moloto municipality and some parts of Napaka district, leaving several others injured.
Let me say almost 20 people have lost their lives due to this cattle rustling. That is on both sides, on the sides of the warriors who are rustling and on the side of the civilian community, which these culprits are attacking. So about 20 people who have lost in the region.
On the side of the ammunition, in 2020 we recovered 2,230 live ammunition from the criminals, and that scenario shows you how the criminals had risen up their activities and also how we stepped up our operations.
Regional Police spokesperson Michael Longole has confirmed the presence of criminal gangs in Moloto Mountain region.
Respect the curfew. The curfew, they should respect the curfew such that we are able to get these culprits, since we have put a lot of patrols in the municipality. So which means the people who are moving at night should not be there.
He said police, UPDF and anti-stock theft unit have intensified patrols in Natugate, Lotsan and Lupa in Moloto, at Lupi and Lotome in Napak district. Despite the presence of foot and motorized patrols at night, there are still some pockets of armed warriors who are attacking residents.
We have intensified foot and motorized patrols in these sub-counties which are affected by raids. We have also using the canine dogs.
Mutesa Sira Haruna, UBC.
Now, the accused persons in the case of killing Afande ASP Mohammed Chirumira have accused prosecution on infringing on their constitutional rights by making deliberate delays in the hearing of this case. Now, this was expressed during a court session at Wakiso Court when the two accused persons appeared in court to kick off with the hearing of this. However, prosecution asked court for more time.
It's now close to 2 years since ASP Muhammad Chirumira and Rested Narinya were murdered in cold blood along Obulenga Road. Following the murders, two suspects, Mwebe Hamza and Kalunji Abubeka, were arrested in connection to the heinous crimes and charged at Wakiso High Court. Though this matter has been in court for close 2 years now, prosecution on several occasions asked court to adjourn this case, saying investigation into the matter is still ongoing. This morning, the accused persons in this matter, Mwebe Hamza and Kalunji Abubeka, appeared before Judge Alex Ajij to proceed with the hearing of this case. However, prosecution led by Joyce Tushabe asked court to refer the matter back to High Court Criminal Division, saying there is limited time for this court to proceed with the hearing of this case. This was granted by Judge Alex Ajij.
To the end of this session, and this case having over 10 witnesses as such, you will not be able to hear all of them in this session. I shall therefore have this case adjourned to the next session with a recommendation that it be tried at Kampala High Court. In the meantime, therefore, the accused persons are further remanded until the next convenient session of the High Court.
The accused Mwebe Hamza and Kalunji Abubeka were remanded to Chitalia Government Prison. Zimbe Zephania, the accused person's lawyer, addressing the media shortly after, accused the state for taking long to prosecute the accused persons.
So they have severe wounds, and they are not happy. Reason because they were tortured, and they are in jail without being tried, and they have been trying to get bail, but they have never gotten it, and that's why they're still there. But they have been trying all means to get out and to receive justice, but they have been denied and they are in jail. That is why they want the case to be heard, because when the case is heard and decided, the case is finished and concluded.
Abubakar Kawoya Mulalo, the father to the late ASP Muhammad Chirumira, who also managed to attend the session, however, was not pleased with the way this case is being handled.
Ne sente ze zennyini zateekwa okufunanga gratuity ye tazikola ki tebazituwanga n'olwaleero kaga sina kye nali mbafunyeemu n'olwekyo n'olwaleero sina kyenfunye bwe gaba nga amateeka ge gagobereddwa gasalewo mu bwenkanya.
Mwebe Hamzan Kalungi Abubakar are facing counts of murder, robbery and other offences. However, they pleaded not guilty to all the alleged offences. The late ASP Muhammad Chirumira and Reston Nalinya was shot to death on 8th September 2018 along Bulenga Road. Deborah Namamonde, UBC News.
Former presidential candidate Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert has threatened to withdraw the presidential election petition from the Supreme Court over what he termed as pre-hearing unfairness. Now, this comes after Supreme Court refused to accept a number of affidavits from the applicant because they were brought after the deadline.
Last week, the Supreme Court gave the applicant of the presidential petition up to 14th of February 2021 to have submitted evidence on the ongoing case challenging the outcome of the January 14th, 2021 presidential elections. However, some of the affidavits were denied due to failure to meet the deadline. The applicant, Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert, is citing unfairness in the whole process of case handling.
The Supreme Court on notice, while noting that there is precedent to the fact that evidence has been adduced all through the hearing, and we fail to understand why the Supreme Court rejects the evidence that we are bringing before it.
This former presidential candidate is now threatening to withdraw the case from the Supreme Court.
If they continue to block us from presenting evidence, if they don't accept the clear evidence to them, then we shall have no option but to withdraw from their court.
Accordingly, the National Unity Platform has mobilized relatives of the missing persons and victims of violence to petition the United Nations Human Rights Commission concerning human rights handling in Uganda.
I want to call upon all the relatives, the friends, the sons and daughters, the parents, the families of all those Ugandans that are missing, the Ugandans that are being illegally held. Please join us as we take this petition to the United Nations Human Rights Office here in Kampala to raise our concern.
Meanwhile, NUPU President Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert has challenged religious leaders to reflect their gospel missions in the life of the former Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, Janan Luwum, who was murdered on orders of the then President Idi Amin Dada.
Indeed, he died for justice. On a day like this, I would just call for a reflection, most importantly for the religious leaders in Uganda. The religious leaders are supposed to be representations of God, representations of the word of God. But as we have seen in the recent past, many religious leaders have indeed turned into religious dealers. They don't care what happens to the people. In the face of rampant murders, in the face of grave injustice, they are asking the people of Uganda to stay silent and suffer silently. In fact, die silently.
Abdul Nasser, Luwama, Lydia Chomkama, UBC News.
Meanwhile, the Judiciary has urged the National Unity Platform to seek court redress on their patent issues. According to the Judiciary spokesperson Jameson Kalimani, the National Unity Platform lawyers faulted the times of handing in affidavits as guided by the Supreme Court justices. Take a look.
One thing we have to note is that everything that is being done is emanating from our laws. Constitution. What does the Constitution say? If you just leave the case to go the way you want, it will never end. So what they did was to agree on a roadmap, and the judges gave what they expect each party to do and within what time. And they all left happily. No one complained, no one rose up during that session to say that the 3 days you have given us is not enough. They were given time within which to make their affidavits filed. They were given time within which they will have to make cross-examination of the witnesses on the affidavits they have given. Now, they gave them 30 minutes each for purposes of winding up or summarizing what you have submitted. So the submissions are not for 30 minutes as it may be portrayed. The submissions are for many hours. Something you said about the Chief Justice meeting the President doing ABCD. The country is still running. There are things which are in place which must be attended to, which I guess any person in the shoes of the President and who is running under that constitution would do whatever is being done. So when you see the Speaker meeting the President, the Speaker meeting the Chief Justice, that is how the operation of the country should be. So as long as if you meet, you are not discussing the matters that are before court. Asking a judge to step down from a case, there are procedures to follow. If anyone does not want any person to sit in his case, you must raise it before the court and give your reasons. For anyone just say, I don't like this judge and I'm raising it that you step down, that we shall have no judges to handle any matters. If we go by that, we must have clear reasons as to why you don't want a certain party to be in your case.
UBC News Tonight. Now, the National Resistance Movement supporters in Bugishu sub-region have rallied behind their party president Yoweri Kaguta Tibuhaburra Museveni to come on top of their presidential election petition. Now, the supporters say President Museveni scored highly countrywide, with Bugishu sub-region giving him full support in the presidential elections.
They made the remarks while meeting Muzei and area task force members who are in the eastern region collecting proposals from NRM members to improve their welfare. Improving the welfare of Ugandans by 2040 is among the mandate of government to ensure that Ugandans are financially stable. This has been witnessed in the Elgon region with the making of Mbale a city, which has attracted many people for business. This has made NRM supporters under Mzei and Area Task Force in the Elgon region to disregard claims of underdevelopment under the NRM government.
Uganda is a democratic country. We exercised our democracy right, and we elected President Museveni. We are here to inform all the Ugandans that Museveni got 100%. That's what I can say in Bugishu sub-region. Bobby Wine, we are requesting you that go to your home and settle with your wife. We don't want you to disturb the peace of Uganda. People of Uganda are living in a peaceful country, which is called the Pearl of Africa.
To me, as the coordinator and who was on the ground and who is still on the ground, really it is a shame. Muzei, for us in the Bukedi sub-region, swept all the districts in the Bukedi sub-region. I would really request the Supreme Court to dismiss that case, because it is really shameful, very disturbing, because Muzei went through.
Regarding the critiques of government in terms of leadership, Muzei and Area Task Force members say it is high time they waited for 2026 because President Museveni is now focusing on developing the country further. The members carried placards bearing words of their ideology. On the security situation in the country, the chairperson, Kakutu Sub-County, Kasacha Adam Taliganya, says there is enough security with no cases of kidnaps.
If you've been told lies that there is where the drones are taking people, that is a lie. We have not seen it in Eastern here. We are enjoying the development that President Museveni has brought to the people of Uganda. There is a right of worship, there is a right of speech. There are many kinds of rights that President Museveni has brought us as the people of Uganda. The roads have been built, the schools have been built, agriculture is at its highest pitch, everything is going on well.
President Museveni was, however, urged to continue supporting the Elgon region by boosting different developmental projects. Sudat Kai. UBC.
Government of Uganda is to administer 3 million doses of foot and mouth disease vaccine to cattle in affected areas of the country. State Minister for Animal Industry Bright Ramirama says 3 million animals are targeted in high-risk areas and transit routes. Addressing journalists at a media center in Kampala, Ramirama urged Ugandans to only consume animal products originating from non-affected areas.
The meat may be delicious and the milk may be sweet and nutritious for human consumption.
Are allowed only in non-affected areas.
But the origin of these products is now a matter of health and sickness in some parts of Uganda. Foot and mouth disease that affects mainly cattle is the issue of concern. It has given the Animal Resources Department of the Ministry of Agriculture a challenge to ensure animal health and safety.
FMD control is complex and therefore needs a lot of resources, human and cultural consumables and financial to control the disease.
This is the reason why government has earmarked 13 billion Uganda shillings for procurement of 3 million doses of foot and mouth disease vaccine.
We don't have FMD at the moment, but we know it is likely to break because the traders are going through what? These routes. So, we cannot vaccinate all the animals because the budget is too big.
Targeted for this exercise are 4 affected districts and 24 high-risk areas, as well as animal transit routes. The vaccine, which will be provided to farmers through veterinary officers, is free of charge.
These routes where the products are going through, the vehicles, we are provided disinfectants for vehicles and also for people traveling. When you get out of affected area, you are supposed to be disinfected. The car tires, the milk tankers, but the good thing is that the milk will be sealed. It will not be contaminated.
According to the 2018 Annual Agriculture Survey, the population of cattle stood at 14.8 million heads, 16 million goats, 4.5 million sheep, and 5 million pigs.
Which translates into 40 million livestock that are at risk.
This population may have increased over time, a reason why government is working to prevent animal deaths through vaccination against foot and mouth disease. Henry Okurut, UBC.
UBC News Tonight. I'm Lauryn Masika Kazimoto. Now, the Ministry of Kampala Metropolitan Affairs and Kampala Capital City Authority has extended some contracts of Kampala Institutional Infrastructure Development Project Phase 2 until May this year. This was during an assessment tour of the project's progress, where contractors requested for extension of contracts to allow them complete works. They cited COVID-19 and rainy seasons as the reasons for the delay.
Implementation of some road projects under Kampala Institutional Infrastructure Development Initiative by Kampala Capital City Authority is about to end, but contractors have requested for extension, which has prompted a team from the Ministry of Kampala and KCCA to visit the roads and assess progress. The team toured Acacia Avenue, where Minister for Kampala Betty Amongi expressed disappointment over the pace of construction. Their visit was to ensure commitment by contractors to stick to the timelines. The 8.06 kilometer Kabusu-Bunamwaya Reza Road is at 62% completion. Contractors, China Estates, requested for extension of 72 days, which is 2 months, to complete the works. However, Amongi says extension comes with liabilities which have to be catered for by the contractors if work is not finished within 2 months.
Just for 72 days in extension.
Extension of
over
72
2
days.
months.
So that takes you up to when?
May. Up to
May.
Yes.
So mid-May out.
Yeah, we give you. Yes. We're planning to finish this project on May.
And so because of our human resource, we want you to conclude the work so that we move, because now we are contracting new roads. And if you have not finished these ones, you deplete our human resource for supervision. If you reasonably, we can think about COVID aspect, but after that, now that you've asked for this period up to May, we are considering all works must complete by end of May. After May, the liability will be on you. If you don't finish, it will be you to look for money to finish the road.
KCCA attributes delay of this project to borrowing equipment by the contractor and challenges of mobilization. Construction of walkways is on, and the contractor plans to start installing street lights.
Part of the delay is them. They didn't mobilize quickly, and again, sometimes they share equipment with the other contract, so that slows down. But now they have picked up, and I hope, as per your advice, they will also consider night shifts so that we move very fast.
A contractor can't do any activity on the pavement layers. He has to wait for the moisture content to reduce for him to work, otherwise he'll be damaging the road. Now, so we have to give him additional time to be able to complete the work that we'd have done had it not rained. So those are the challenges. Also, when it comes to COVID has affected this project in many different ways. The contractor staff have resigned, especially the Chinese staff, fearing to contract COVID in Uganda. They resigned and left. We had to get new staff. That was time lost.
Lukuli Road project in Makinde Division.
All right, now after 40 years of flying and with over 21,600 logged flying hours, Uganda Airlines pilot Charles Karabarinde had his last flight today. Now, Captain Karabarinde started his flying journey in 1978 when he enrolled at Soroti Flying School and graduated as a commercial pilot in 1981. And since then, he has had an illustrious flying journey from the defunct Uganda Airlines, Air Zimbabwe, Air Uganda, Air Nigeria, and finally the revived Uganda Airlines. Take a look.
The journey has been very nice. I've really enjoyed because I've found so many aeroplanes. As the first officer, as the captain, all over the world. So really, the journey has been wonderful. I enjoyed myself. Once you have experience and you gain experience, it is good to share it. Now, this is the time, at least whatever experience I have, I should share it with the young people who are coming.
He has contributed internationally and grown, not only as an individual, but also in his career. So the young people have a lot to look up to him as a great example of what somebody can achieve from this country on a worldwide basis. And we are pleased that at the tail end of his career, he was able to come back home.
He has other attributes that can contribute to this airline. And we are going to tap those attributes for coming few years.
Well, we wish him the very best in his retirement and other endeavors. UBC News Tonight takes a very short break, but we'll return with more stories.
Today tastes like a new tradition, like an old favorite. Tastes like all hands on deck and all eyes on the prize. Today tastes like a piece of the action. and it never tasted this good.
Yellow, how are you? Tell me, how do you do? We're here to show some appreciation for the things you do. Thank you for today, and thank you for tomorrow. Thank you for every time and everywhere you go. We love you so, and we enjoy life with you. We are happy, happy, happy to know that we will go with you. That's why we say thank you, thank you, thank you, yeah. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you for choosing MTN. Use MTN mobile money, bundles or other services to get Thank You points. The more you use, the more Thank You points you get. We look forward to many more years together. Thank you.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Welcome back from the break, and we're glad that you're still watching UBC News Tonight. I'm Lauryn, Masika, Kazimoto, and on the sign language we do have Elizabeth Nakakoni. Now continuing with our stories making headlines in our country, construction of the 78.5 kilometer road from Rukunjiri to Kanungu has taken shape. Officials from Uganda National Roads Authority, UNRA, inspected the construction works and commended the contractors for a good job done so far.
Rukunjiri Kanungu Road in western Uganda connects to the Democratic Republic of Congo via Ishasha Bridge. The construction of the road, estimated at a cost of 207.8 billion shillings, is being undertaken by China Henan International Corporation with funding from the African Development Bank and Government of Uganda. The Director for Roads and Bridges Development, Samuel Mohozi, urged the contractors to ensure that the work is completed within the specified time.
And we have agreed with the contractor, he's going to increase on the manpower, on the front lines, since have enough equipment, and we'll tackle the road in different sections so that he can catch up with the lost time.
The officials from UNRA commended the contractor for a good job done so far. The contractor, however, says the outbreak of COVID-19 slowed down the construction.
We spent almost 1 year until end of the last year, where people equipment is ready, the full mobilized here due to the increase the works. Another main factor about the land issue, you see, some land we cannot continue to work as a bridge.
Kanungu District Chairperson Josephine Kashia appealed to the contractors to compensate those who were not compensated for their property that lies along the construction lane.
Some cases where the owners of the land stop, continuation of the construction of the road just because they are not paid. And we thought, as leaders, we could come in to help each other and see how best we can see those challenges addressed, because some are social, others economical. But
the Deputy RDC Kanungu, Gad Rugaju, urged the contractors to also construct small roads that link to people's homes.
aine motoka kungita kansa kushara muyanzo we ekino kyona kibagambira bwena batandikiro bakukuli kutandika nereza abampamiza bali kutandika kukola obukuuto baza kuyisaba okubanza buli kakuuto kalaza mu kayo omuntu balaza kuba bakakozire.
The monitoring started in Kanungu and ended at the Nyanga Bridge that connects Uganda to DRC Congo.
Karenga district in Karamoja region has emerged last in terms of health service delivery. This disturbing position in service delivery at this hospital was made in a national assessment survey and report conducted by the Ministry of Health for the financial year 2019-2020. Details in this report.
The newly appointed Chief Administrative Officer for Karenga District, Jonathan Musoke, has summoned all civil servants in the district to discuss how best they can improve on service delivery. This comes after the district was ranked last in health service delivery for the financial year 2019-2020 as last on account of poor health service delivery. The national assessment was done by the Ministry of Health in 136 districts. The sector in the district is linked to lack of resources and long distances.
The poor performance, especially in the health sector, which I witnessed when we were making the national reviews of the first year of the operations of Karenga local government, of which I was not part then. But you know, now that I'm in charge, we want to make sure that we really discard the tendencies of poor performance, and then we move on to make sure that I urge and mobilize and guide and facilitate my technical teams to produce more, to have more outputs than they did last financial year.
Aliko adds that the number of health workers in the district is not enough, leading to slow service delivery.
Challenge there of PhD development, it is very little. If we were to be equated like other districts, otherwise we would also be somewhere in terms of infrastructure. So alongside infrastructure is dwindling financing. DHO's office receives per quarter something like 12 million. 12 million, financial year we get 12 million. So which means per quarter we get 3 million.
Interfaith and intercultural coexistence has been key on agenda for both government and private sectors seeking peace and security in Yumbe district, an area that accommodates natives and refugees from South Sudan. Religious conflicts dominated areas of this community, but as we hear in this following story, this is now a thing of the past.
District in northern Uganda, a community fully dominated by the Madi people. 2 years ago, Muslims and Catholics in this region couldn't interact fully due to religious tribal conflicts. Yumbe also hosts a big population of refugees, mostly from South Sudan. Coincidentally, these are from the same tribe with the Ugandan communities in Yumbe. Although they are of the same tribe, religion was a major line of conflict among members of this community.
These conflicts are historical in nature. They started in late 1970s, but we are thankful that right now the Muslims and the non-Muslims do coexist, and that is majorly because the top religious leaders have come together and they do everything socio-economic and political together.
Measures to unite the two factions were set up by faith leaders to promote interfaith and intercultural collaboration for peaceful coexistence among youth who were at risk of extremism and radicalization.
I'm posted here by 2016. When I was here, I got this place was not all that good because there were fights and there were quarrels among the Christians and the Muslims. The fight was basically in between the religious background. From that background that Muslims were not good with the Christians. Christians felt also they were demoralized and marginalized from there. So from that point, there was no understanding. These two people could not come together. But When UGCC came in, it brought us unity. It brought us how we can come up together with the leaders as leaders. Now this thing made us as leaders to come together, the Anglican Church, the Catholic Church, and the Muslim.
The close partnership and collaboration between leaders from the two faiths enabled their respective followers to embrace a culture of tolerance and cooperation. The other aspect employed is sports, that has been a key uniting factor among the youths in Nyumbe and neighboring areas of Lamunga, Ojinga, Maloba, Alunga, among other areas.
Those days our people were barbaric, but since UGCC came in and the Muslim Center for Justice and Law came in, so we have become as one people. These days we stay as one people, we love each other, and we don't do things as it was before.
Besides building capacity for the population to coexist and benefit from each other, the project has changed the lives of many youths who would have otherwise resorted to extreme lives of drug abuse to being lured into armed rebellion. To ensure continuity of the interfaith and intercultural coexistence, the religious and cultural leaders point out that religion, culture and local government structures should be supported by government. This will provide the technical and financial sustainability at all times.
Beyond Beauty Parlor and Spa, your beautification destination. We believe in suitable beauty. We offer pedicure and manicure, makeup, hairstyling, plating, weaving, dreadlocks, massage, waxing, facial and body scrub, name it. We also offer additional services like honeymoon packages, hiring venues, and vehicles for brides and grooms. Training interns from different beauty schools. We are located on Uganda House, ground floor 5. Call to book for your appointment on 0702-645-015 or 0414-696-229. You can WhatsApp us on 0752-645-005. Email us beyondbeautyparlor@yahoo.com.
Welcome back from that break. You're still watching UBC News Tonight. I'm Lauryn, Masika, Kazimoto, and on the sign language we have Elizabeth Nakakoni. Now, in our business story tonight, proprietors of Lukaya Rice Farm in Kalungu District are looking forward to expanding the rice production to promote food security and income generation. The farm's general supervisor, Peter Gan, decries what he describes as continuous importation of rice despite Uganda's capacity to produce surplus. He echoes this at the farm as they embarked on the rice harvesting exercise, where he expressed the urge to acquire more land for the exercise. Take a look.
This rice has been in this garden for 3 months, and it is time for those that sowed to reap. It is just part of an undertaking that started with land preparation process, followed by the scientific mode of draining water into the land.
It was not easy because if you don't have these machines like excavator, it is very difficult to do what? To prepare land like this.
To get to this stage of this bumper harvest, it also took application of organic fertilizers as opposed to use of chemicals. This is the reason why the soils remain productive season after season.
And we didn't use a lot of manure to apply in the land. We've managed to harvest in time.
Mostly we are using cow dung and we are using chicken manure to make the soil with natural fertilizer. Because every people knows if you use the NPK, the product when you are eating, it can't get much good eating and not much healthy. But if we use cow dung or chicken manure, the product comes very nice.
The stand against chemical use does not only apply at land preparation, plowing or planting stage. Separating rice from weeds is also done mechanically using the push weeding method. Here, wild plants are destroyed as the required plants are left to enjoy space for proper growth.
The moment we use this machine, it will rotovate it, and that grass will remain inside the soil, of which it will make some manure for the plant.
Since from the beginning, when we are opening the land, we don't use those glyphosate. We don't use any chemicals to kill the grass. We just get enough workers. They get the job, and we also let them to slash the grass. After slashing, then we use the fire to burn it.
Such farming methods are what explain the projected rice harvest that Lukaya Rice Farm Management boasts of. The goal of the undertaking is to reduce rice importation into Uganda. Instead, they aim at promoting more exportation through surplus production.
What I've seen for Uganda, they are importing a lot of rice from Tanzania, from Pakistan or Indians. So I'm sure those rice which they are importing, it is not fresh. For the quantity, I can't say it is bad, but the smell is not so much fresh.
Land availability is, however, one of the factors that could hamper rice production here. Despite sitting on 5,000 acres of land, 3,000 of which are under use, more is still needed.
Yeah, the demand is high. Definitely we need more land for growing rice, and which will even help us in the rotation of the gardens. Like we make rotation, we leave the land to rest, then we go to another portion for good harvesting.
If we get more land, my plan is I want to divide the land to our managers or our good workers so that they can be the owner for that portion.
Lukaya Rice Farm is a subsidiary of Zongs Industries that has beaten all odds to prove rice production as a source of food security in Uganda. Henry Okrut, UBC.
Well, I hope, Henry Okrut, you brought some rice with you to share with us. But more in business news, the Ministry of Education and Sports, in collaboration with Federation of Uganda Employers, have constituted a tertiary educational education and training TVET policy implementation working group that will lead the process of establishing a TVET council. The development comes after the Education Ministry recently developed a TVET policy in a bid to enhance and professionalize skills and competence of Uganda's technical and vocational labor force.
Despite technical and vocational education existing in Uganda for decades, multiple employers have been hesitant to improve working conditions for technical and vocational labor due to high levels of unprofessionalism and lack of a governing policy in the sector.
We need the law in place, the TVET Act,
And as you've already been informed, the principles have been developed, but we are aware they have not yet been approved. We would want that process to move a lot quicker so we can get into the drafting of the TVET bill and then eventually the act so that these reforms can roll much faster.
According to the Minister of State for Sports, Hamson Oboa, tertiary and vocational education and training system has been detached from both universal primary and secondary education, UPE and USE, to establish an employer-led TVET system.
The journey of TVET reform is one that I have dedicated my whole self from the time the President appointed me to this ministry as the Minister of Education and Sports. And it is one I trust to transform the future of our country.
However, service providers in both tertiary and technical vocational institutions say many people still regard vocational studies as space for failures, hence a big challenge faced by technical vocational education and training institutes.
The TVET, the technical vocational education and training, people still think it is for the failures, people who fail at school. But imagine imagine a person you call a failure and you're a lawyer and you're taking your vehicle to be repaired by a failure. You are calling a failure to construct a house where you are going to sleep for many years. I think that has been a dilemma. So that is one of the things that we need to address, that technical education are for genius people, are for bright people, so that they will be innovative. A person who is genius, a person who is bright is an innovative person.
The TVET Continental Strategy is meant to be an action guide that should be quickly owned in order to develop each line of the strategy to build the TVET national, regional and continental system. Charlotte Amuge and Juma Samba for UBC News.
Leaders in Amudat district are in the process of introducing alternative means by which the Pokot can earn money through rearing of camels. According to the Pokot culture, the rearing of cows is for marriage and not for commercial purposes. Take a look.
The newly appointed RDC for Amudat, Michael Walatum Okring, wants camel rearing as one of the alternative businesses for the people of Amudat, given the space of land they have. According to Walatum, the rearing of camels in the district has been tested and proven that they do well, and it's a business the people of Amudat can adopt as an income-generating activity.
Growing, keeping camels for export, for meat export, So I think it's a business which we are going to emphasize. It's a business that we are going to put a lot of our interest in. It is started by individuals as a business, but I think as government also we should, see how we can empower, this business community, this businessman who is doing the camel farming.
One of the camel farmers, Haruna Santul, explained that camels are very friendly and not very expensive to keep, as they rarely get sick like cows. Santul says camels are also unique in a way that they can't be stolen or rustled like cows, since they are violent to strangers. Walatum was in the region for the disarmament exercise and urged all the civil servants to value their work.
20 days abana kunya maji na wesika bil mahali ya kafu ya desert ya kuna maji ya anakula meat vile juu nakula hawezi kufa haraka hata kama iko jilali inafika hata miezi 6 miezi 7 yeye anakaa strong. Masiwa yake iko mzuri sana, anasafisha tumbo, bakteria yote anaua, iko afya sana, pamoja iko kitu nyingi sana anashinda ng'ombe. So yeye nyama iko dawa, kojo yake iko dawa, masiwa yake iko dawa, hata hii mafi kama iko ongosi mgonjwa anafanya hivi ongosi atapona, ongosi yote atapona.
Amudat District Chief Administrative Officer Masokoi Waswa said he is hopeful that they are succeeding in the mindset change of the people of Amudat so that they become more productive.
Ngoja.
Now into sports, Uganda Olympic Committee election returning officer Council Sim Katende has released the list of nominated candidates for the February 27th elections. From what has been released, Donald Rukare and 7 other executive members are unopposed.
The journey to replace outgoing Uganda Olympic Committee President William Blake is bound to be smooth. This follows a close of nominations, with the returning officer Sim Katende confirming the spot of presidency unopposed, with only Donald Rukare meeting standards.
There were some members who applied and did not meet the qualifications. As I said, the UOC constitution has a list of what you should meet. For example, they will say you have to be a certain age, you have to have certain academic qualifications, you have to have been a member of one of the national federations in an executive position. So there is a checklist. So what I did was I look at the checklist and I see, do you meet that? So this one of the individuals who did not meet that criterion, we wrote to him and asked him, the following things are missing which you do not have. Please confirm if they were just missed out as you were submitting. And the person wrote back and said, no, I actually did not meet that quotation and I understand. So that is why the person was very gracious and realized they did not meet. As I said, I did not write the constitution. All I'm doing is implementing the constitution and what it provides.
7 other executive committee positions are also unopposed, with Danstan Nsubuga as first vice president, Moses Mwase as second vice president, and Beatrice Aikoru as secretary general. The other unopposed members are Lydia Damuzungu as assistant secretary general and Sadiq Nasiu, who fills the treasury position. At some stage of this electoral process, many queries arose and have been clarified by the returning officer.
So mwami muhanje teyapandikira. Obanga yawandikira muntu mulala abisiliyingiramu. Naye waliwe bangamba nti wano woteeka okuwandiika. Bembasabifu teyapandikira. So omuntu atampandikidde sirinanga bwe muddamu.
On the issue of Donald Rukare holding another position as National Council of Sports Board chairperson, William Blake cites the constitution.
Tubali kigana chairman wa council kubeera president wa UOC. Ekyokubiri, International Olympic Committee etusikiriza nnyo okulaba nti tukolagana nnyo ne National Council. Era baagala Uganda Olympic Committee gye bujja etambule mu layini eya DOSB, German Olympic Committee, oba SASCO, South African Olympic Committee, oba US Olympic Committee. Council ne National Olympic Committee bakola ki bali wamu. Mu constitution yaffe tubali kigaana omuntu okubeera chairman wa council ne president wa UOC. Ekigaana omuntu okubeera kakiiko aka UOC ng'oli employee oba oli mukozi wa government.
On election day 27th February, only 2 positions will be filled to complete the executive board.
Under the UOC constitution, there are 4 executive board members, 2 of whom must be female, 2 of whom are male, so for gender balance. Now, for the position for the female executive board members, only 2 applicants put in their applications and met the criterion. That is Miss Anne Mungoma and Miss Caroline Joanna Dongo. So those 2 are also unopposed. So the positions for which we will actually now have to have a formal election, which are opposed, are the positions for the 2 executive board members who are men. And for those, there are 4 candidates, and at the end of the election, 2 of them will be the ones elected. And the 4 candidates are Mr. Simon Peter Komakech, Mr. Abdul Nasser Serunjoji, Mr. Richard McBond Asimwe, and Mr. Godwin Arinaitwe Kayangwe. So those 4 gentlemen are the ones who are contesting for the 2 positions for executive board member for the UOC.
Donald Rukare later launched his manifesto at Hotel Africana with 4 key points to address in his first term.
Supporting athletes, officials and federations, looking at diversifying the resource base for the UOC, building on looking at how we can have more facilities working with other partners like the ministry, the government and National Council, as well as building strategic partnerships at national, regional and international level. And I believe these 4 pillars form the main anchor of the manifesto we have launched today.
The final slot to be filled will be the athlete's representative, to be done at a later date. John Barnes, Sentamu, reporting.
And like the saying goes, all good things do come to an end, and so has this bulletin. We have enjoyed your company. I'm Lauryn Masika Kazimoto, and on the sign language, Elizabeth Nakakoni. We wish you a good night. But on another note, we leave you with Alex Kim Sempa with our weather forecast for tomorrow.
You're welcome. My name is Sempa Alex Kim with the weather forecast from the Weather Center. This morning, parts of Lake Victoria Islands woke up to thundering rainfall that progressively spread along the Victoria Basin. Otherwise, by the afternoon, there was an increase of rainfall activities also in the western sector of the country. By 9 a.m., Entebbe reported 33.7 millimeters of rainfall, while Tororo reported 19.6 and Kabale reported 12.3 millimeters. Now, the kind of weather we are having is mainly because of a shift in the rain belt northwards to cover the central part of Africa, and that takes on our region. In the morning, we do expect sunny intervals across most parts of the country, though along the Victoria Basin, we do expect some chances of some light isolated rainfall. That will also include parts of Kabale. In the afternoon, we do expect thundering rainfall that will be across parts of Kasese, Mubende, as well as Masinde. The rest of the country will hang on to sunny intervals. Temperatures are expected to rise to 30 degrees Celsius. That will be in Kitogum, Kotido at 29, whereas the nation's capital Kampala at 27 degrees centigrade, whereas in Kabale Highlands we are forecasting at 22 degrees centigrade. And elsewhere across the globe we are forecasting some rainfall that will be for Nairobi, while Brussels is expected to be quite heavily cloudy, whereas at a daytime high of only 10 degrees centigrade. Well, that wraps it up. Join us again tomorrow same time.
Brought to you by At Umeme, your safety is our top priority. Report illegal practices to Umeme when you detect them. Download the Umeme app for other services. Stay alert, stay safe, save lives. Umeme, powering Uganda.